Yes, this is a little bit strange that there are modules inside the field directory. Example, it is not implemented so because it formats its numbers, but it could use the text module. I think there are modules in here which use the I can't show you cross-module formatters, but I will be able to show you cross-module widgets just a little bit later. But it's possible. As long as you have a formatter which operates on the right columns, it doesn't matter, it's decoupled enough that you can have one module that defines a field type, another that defines a formatter. The two often comes together because if you need a separate field type, then that usually has it's not just an abstract data storage. Instead, you want to show it somehow. So, for example, the example module defines these formatters called field example simple text and the field example color background. This is how you use them. You have a formatter view implementation, which again would like to show you how similar this is to validate. You know, if let me see how can I put the So this is fairly difficult for field tools to get almost the same argument. You're always getting an entity type, an entity, the field you are working with, the instance you are working with, the language you are working with, these items, and then additional relevant things to the field tool, which is the display mode for the formatter view and errors for validity. Having consistent API signature helps the work a lot, provided you know what these are. What are entity types and what are entities? Once again, we are roaming in the as these are very abstract things. An entity is your basic base, let's say, table. For example, taxonomy terms are entities, nodes are entities, users are entities, and if you look at them, the reason these things are not going in the same bin is because we have base things that all of them need, all that inherent to them. So for example, nodes are things that can be promoted, can be sticked. We want to query on these things, so it's much faster to keep them in the base table. And this is why, unlike in previous reports where you wanted everything to be a node, you want everything to be an entity, because not everything should have a sticking. Not everything should have a promote flag. Like, for example, taxonomy terms have different inherent properties, right? They do have some, like they belong into a hierarchy. They can belong into a hierarchy, which is not true, but there is no generic entity hierarchy in 7. That's specific to taxonomies. Users have passwords. Users have a mail. Every user has a mail. We want to query on them. This is basically how you decide what you want to create, what goes into an entity and what goes into a field. An entity is something that you need to write a custom module for to handle it. A field is something that usually you can just take. It comes with code, comes from config, and you can slap on it. You know, a text, number. These are common things. Passwords are really uncommon things, if you understand what I mean, you know? It's not really as strict. There is no really strict limitation. It's fairly blurry. It is possible that in 8 everything is going to be a field. We will see. Anyways, you have entity types and the entity. So entity type is like a node, a user, a taxonomy term, a taxonomy vocabulary, and so on. Then you have the entity, which is the node object itself. Then you have the field, which is this nice little array which defines what is your field type, what is your cardinality, which is familiar from CCK, I hope, and additional little details which are really not important. Then you have the instance. What's an instance? An instance